Hello everyone, can everybody hear me? Okay, great, then I get started. To some of you, a good morning, to some of you, a good afternoon, and I guess to some of you, a good evening. My name is Martina Posma and I work at Pipefy's customer success team, and in the next 20 minutes I will guide you through Pipefy's advanced reporting feature. I will set a fictional case in order for you guys to understand the logic a bit better, and I developed 3 templates that I will show you, and after that I will configure two reports here by hand. Pipefy reports, what are they and why would you use them? Your pipe reports are basically all the information extracted from the fields of all cards you have in your pipe. And they are shown to you in a customizable spreadsheet format. It basically gives you a snapshot of all activity in your pipe. You're able to generate a report based on all data in your pipe over your pipe's lifetime, but you could also filter by period or by a specific assignee, label, or phase, for example. So, before I get started, I will set a case to make it all a bit more understandable. Besides my work at Pipefy, I'm also the CEO at another company named TARDIS. And at TARDIS we make time machines. I'll show you our best seller so that you can understand what we are doing. It's this one. In order to build our time machines, we are reliable on various parts we purchase from different suppliers. TARDIS uses Pipefy to track its purchase requests. So, we set up our purchase process template inside Pipefy in order to track all requests that we have to do to gather all parts we need to build our time machine. For those of you who may not be familiar with our purchase process template, I will go through it very quickly. So, you fill in the start form, and in the start form you say what you need to purchase, who requested the purchase, and your email address, and you leave the priority of the purchase. So if it's going to be a low priority, medium, high priority, or maybe even critical, so that we need to buy it as soon as possible. It will enter here in the screening phase and later move on to quotation. In the quotation phase, you gather different suppliers, you set which prices they charge for the parts you need, and eventually you make a final decision on which supplier you choose, why, and you set the total value of the purchase you're going to make. In the quotation phase, you also set an assignee for the one that's going to be responsible for the approval. And in my pipe, it's me, because I'm the manager of this pipe. In the approval phase, I approve the purchase, yes or no, and as soon as I approve the purchase, it's moving on the purchase. And in the purchase phase, you fill in the final data of the supplier, you set the payment method, you fill in when the payment was done and when the parts are expected to be delivered. As soon as the parts are delivered, you move to delivery, and in delivery you check if the parts are conform to what you ordered. So, now that we explained this, I can show you our reports. I just opened my reports dashboard. You can see there are already 3 templates set in place. These are reports that I saved. Before I will open them one by one, I will just quickly show you all the buttons and what a reporting screen looks like so that you know what each button is for. As soon as you click New Report, you will see a standard report with 4 columns, and they are all based on all cards created through the lifetime of the pipe. So basically, there's no formatting done here yet, and all you see here are all cards that I created in my pipe. And every report standardly comes with these 4 columns, which are title, current phase, creator, and created as. I'll quickly demonstrate you the buttons now so that you will understand how I came to the reports that I will go to demonstrate you in a bit. This button will allow you to add or delete columns to your report. And as you can see, the 4 columns that are displayed right now are checked. The columns retrieve the information you filled out on your pipe's field. So you really have to think carefully about the fields that you configure in your pipe, because you can extract the information from the fields you filled in on all cards here in your report. So, we had approximately 9 cards in my pipe. You will see all of them here. And as soon as I'm going to add columns, the information that I filled in the fields will be displayed. As I said, you can add or delete columns. So if I would uncheck title, title will delete. And as soon as I check title, title will be added. You can also add the order of the columns as you want. This is the volume button. And the formula button allows you to open a formula field above your report. You can display the sum, the average, the minimum, and the maximum value of a number type of field. So as soon as you have a number type of field somewhere in your pipe, you can show a formula. We have, for example, in our quotation phase, a total amount kind of field. And this field displays the total amount we are going to pay to our supplier for the parts that we ordered. If I allow it here right now, I see the sum of the total amount field throughout my pipe. So throughout my whole purchasing process, I already spent $10,700, euros, or any other currency. This is the export button, and as soon as I hit this button, there will be an Excel file of your report sent to your email which you signed up with on Pipefy. And in Excel, you can do further calculations with more advanced formulas or with graphs, for example. Then I move on to the left panel, the reporting dashboard, and that's your filtering. And with filtering, you can basically limit the amount of entries that are displayed. You can filter on specific attributes you wish to see, so you can filter based on assignee, for example, or on labels. But you can also filter on periods of time, and I will show you different kinds of filters that you could apply later on in my exam. And the Save Report button is very useful because you can hit the Save Report button in order to save the particular layout of a report that you created. So as soon as you save the report, all columns and all filters that you applied will be saved. It can be very useful. I will move on to the examples right now that I made already. And we'll start live. The first thing I did was filtering by label. Like I said, I filtered by attribute. So when filling out the start form or when creating a purchase request, identify the priority of this purchase. You can filter based on label, as I already said, and you might be willing to display all records that are critical. So what you see here is just the records that are critical, that have the priority critical, and it may be useful to every week check, for example, which purchases are critical and have to be purchased really soon. To mention another example, you could also filter on assignee, for example. So in a sales pipeline, you could be interested in the cards that belong to one of your salespeople, and then you would set here on assignee. As you can see, I saved this report and I clicked on the tile here. And on this tile, you can see the amount of cards. And you see the title of my report. So here, these are purchases that are critical, and I have 2 purchases that are critical. So that means that as soon as you open your reporting dashboard, you see this little tile, and you have a very quick overview of how many purchases are critical. Then let's make another step. Let's create a formula. I already made a report. In our purchasing process, we could be interested in the amount of money we spend. In order to enable a formula, like I said, you need a number type of field on your pipe. And that's here a total amount. In the quotation phase of process, so we have a number field. So if I would apply a filter, you would see, like I displayed before, you would see the total amount of money that I spent in the whole phase. So if I would uncheck this filter, I would see the 10,700. This 10,700 is related to the whole pipe. But if you might be interested in what you, for example, spend on light bulbs, you could here go to Phases, Start Form. What needs to be purchased or hired? Well, I'm interested in what we spend on light bulbs, so I click Is and type light bulb. Then my report displays the amount I spent in total on light bulbs. If I would want to, I can also show the average. So on average, I spend 1,725 on light bulbs. I can set the minimum or the maximum. I saved this report already, and let's go back to my reporting dashboard. And what you see here is this little tile, and this is the amount spent on light bulbs. And because I set the maximum value in my report, it shows now the maximum value that I spent on light bulbs. Likewise, I could also set the total value, so that as soon as you open your reports, you see a total value you spent on light bulbs. To give another example, again, let's expand the sales pipeline example. You could be willing to display the average value of deals that John closed in the past month, for example. So then you would expand your filter even further and also set a time period. To move on to my last template that I made here is a performance tracking kind of example. With our reports, we could also track the performance of your actors in your pipe. Let's say, because I'm the one that's responsible for approving each purchase, let's say that we would like to track how much time I take to approve a purchase. For this, I have to go to Columns, move on to the Approval phase, and check the total time in Approval box. Here then, it will appear in my report, and because I'm only interested in the time that's spent in approval and the cards that are currently in approval, I set a filter here, saying Current phase is Approval. If I would delete this filter, I would receive all my cards again, but then I would also see the cards that already passed approval. So for example, the golden plate and the light bulb and another light bulb, for example. But I'm only interested, like I said, in cards that are in approval. So I see here now that the total time this card spent in approval is 12 minutes. Likewise, you could have a team task management pipe, for example, and you're curious how long your tasks stay in the doing phase. Or to add another filter, you could be interested how long the task of Steve remain in the doing phase. And then you could save your report again and have a very quick overview of the amount of cards Steve has in the doing phase right here on your desk. So now let's create a new report from scratch. And this new report is going to count the cards that I created in a certain period of time. So as you see, I hit it, click new report, and it appears in the standard spreadsheet again with all cards that I have in my pipe and with the 4 standard faces that I would always have in my pipe. I click column and I'm going to add column here. Because I'm interested in the amount of cards that are created in a certain period of time, I click here, create add. And it's already checked. Then I move to the filtering period because I'm very interested in the amount of cards that are created in, for example, this month. So I move to the general panel and I click create add. And then you see 3 options here. You can check a period of time, you can check a relative period of time, or an absolute. And a period relates, for example, to today, to a current month, a last month, a current year. A relative, so the last report that I created, and I guess that was when I was still online, is the amount of cards created in a certain period of time. And I explained that you can set it for a certain period, for example, the current month or the current week, or you can set it more than X hours or days ago, or you can set it on a specific date, after a specific date, before a specific date. I have one more example and I will configure one more report, and that's related to the amount of deliveries that we will get this week. So we have our purchasing process pipe, and in our purchasing phase we specified the payment method, but we also specified the expected delivery date. So, and as a manager, I'm pretty interested in the amount of orders that will come in a certain week. So every Monday I go to Pipefy, I open my purchase process pipe, and I check how many orders are we expecting this week, and more specifically, which orders. So I have to add a column to my phase, and because it's in the purchasing phase, I have to move down here, and I select the estimated delivery date. And as you can see, it appears here as a column. In my case, I'm very interested in the amount of deliveries that are going to be made this week. So in the filtering panel, we also scroll down to the purchasing phase, click estimated delivery date so that it matches the column, and say current week. And as you can see, there's 3 purchases that are going to be delivered this week. And as soon as I save it, I again will receive a little tile on my reporting dashboard with a number, and it resets again at the end of the week, which is on Sunday. So as soon as I open my pipe on Monday, I see only the purchases that are going to be delivered this week. So just to wrap up, here you can add columns, you can add general fields, and those are not related to fields on your pipe, but are general information that every single pipe has. So for example, when the card is created, the ID of the card, if you use the fixed fields label, due date, or assignee, the finished at. And then when you move on, you can add as columns, you can add all fields you have on your pipe and all fields you configured. So here, my start form, I explained it already in the beginning. In my start form, I fill out what needs to be hired or purchased, what's my name, my email, the urgency of the purchase, and additional detail. And I can add all of this as columns in my report. And then the report will display all this information. So let's say, look, here I added it. And it goes for all the phases. So for example, in my delivery date example, I moved on to the purchasing phase and I selected the expected delivery date. Every single phase, besides the fields that you configured in your phase, every single phase comes with 3 extra options. You can select first time enter, last time exit, or total time in. And in my performance tracking example, I set, for example, the total time in approval, so that I can see how much time a card stays in each particular phase. That's it for my examples. I will show you what an exported sheet will look like. I didn't do anything regarding formatting here, but as soon as you click export at your report, move on to your email, and then download your Excel spreadsheet, it will enter your email inbox in this format. And then from here you can do additional formatting, or you can add graphs or more. Let's move on to the questions. Is there anyone that has questions? So there was a question, is there a way to have it compiled for each month? And that depends on what exactly you would like to compile for a single month. But let's say, like I said, I want to see cards created in a certain month. Then I click created at, and a period, for example, the last month, so then it counts for the whole month of January, or the current month, then it starts from the beginning of February until now. Would that answer your question? And I have another question, if you can see then the total amount for a specific date. So let's say the total amount for February 17th. We can do that. Then you go to your columns again, or you add your formula field, you say total amount, and then we go to the date. And I don't have a field or a card that was created on February 17th, but I do have a card that was created yesterday. And then I simply select my date. So on the 23rd of February in 2017, I bought in total $2,300 euros in light bulbs. Is there anyone that has any other question? Because so far we received these two questions, and I hope that I answered them well. If there's anyone who has another question, you can submit them in the chat box. If you can specify a period, you can most certainly specify a period. Right now I am filtering based on created at. That means the date that the card is created, and I'm interested in my example right now in the amount of cards that are created in a period. And the periods that we support are today, yesterday, the current week, that means it walks from Monday until Sunday, last week, so last week Monday until Sunday, the current month, which is in this case February, the last month, January, the current year. Does that answer your question? Yeah, you can also custom a period, setting a date range. So you could specify dates after, on, or before a specific date. And here in the relative section, you can specify periods in terms of more than exactly or less than X days or hours ago. So you can, in the absolute section, you can specify periods of time after, on, before a specific date. You can select here on the calendar. And in the relative section, it relates to dates, and here it relates to periods. So there's a question if you can apply the application to pipe connections. And I don't exactly understand what you mean by that. Do you mean that as soon as you create a connected card, this card is included in your report? So every card that is in your pipe, as long as it's in the pipe you create a report from. So if you created a connected card from another pipe, then the information from the other pipe, unfortunately, is not submitted, but it only relates to the cards that are in this pipe. And regarding between two dates, you cannot set a filter saying between the 1st of February and the 5th of February, for example. You cannot do that. You can only specify on the period we specified here the relative values of the absolute value. Is there anyone else that has a question? I guess there's no more questions anymore. Like I said, any other questions, or if there's something that pops into your mind, please just send me an email or add me on Skype, and I'd be more than happy to answer all questions there. Okay? So, to some of you again, have a good day. Some of you a good afternoon, and some of you a good evening, and a great weekend for all of you.